Just waiting. There we go. Hi.
Hi.
All right, you're gonna have to be fast now because I've got a coaching call at 7, and I need to have a tiny bit of food between that. So fire away.
Hey, so you were telling me that you were fascinated to talk about experience of learning new languages. So how is that for you?
So for me, I'm a Danish native, but I've lived in England for 30 plus years. So immersion is definitely a key for me, but also that whole thing around a little bit of self-competition. So I was 11 when I learned English properly. And partly it was about being partly immersion, I needed to. So that's all obviously, throw somebody in and that's going to help.
That's right.
Yeah, completely right. Because you need to eat, you need to do things, etc. But healthy competition also really works. So we used to have a spelling competition every week. We'd learn words in school, etc. And I found that actually rising to the challenge of a competition would make me work harder. So that was also really fun. And the other thing was actually when I was learning the words was actually putting the words on things. So, kind of the table or the lamp or that sort of thing. So those are all definitely good ways of doing things.
Good ways to learn the language, right?
For sure.
And so how long it took you to learn the English?
Very, very little time. It took me probably within 3 months, I would say I was able to properly have a conversation and to just, I didn't mind getting things wrong. I minded a little bit, but mostly I didn't mind because I needed to. And so within 3 months, I could definitely have a good conversation with people.
Yeah. And so what was your motivation, or how do you find that motivation to don't mind you to do things wrong?
I think in both instances, because partly learning French at school, but also we went to France and we had 3 weeks in France. And by the end of it, I could absolutely speak, a good level of French that would allow me to order food and, go to the bakers and that kind of thing. And I think in both instances, the motivation was connection. Yeah, connection and just simply, survival in the case of the English, but because obviously that worked. But I think for the French, it was definitely connection and again the challenge.
Oh, and how that was the connection? Can you collaborate more about the connection?
Yeah, I will. So the connection, I think, is a words make experiences even more exciting, right? Sort of like, so you and I, if you just spoke Spanish and I just spoke English, we would make it kind of fun and exciting, but words allow you to actively get more in depth with people. It allows you to understand, it allows you to bridge the gap and cultures and that sort of thing, and you just learn more about a person.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, completely. I connect with you, because for me, when I started learning English, at the beginning, it was kind of a challenge, I just say early. But then now I understand what they think, the way they think, and how the culture is it. I get more involved.
Yeah, exactly. It allows you to, and I think maybe you're right. Involvement is actually part of the motivation. Because actually, if you don't speak the language or you don't know how to ask what the rules are, it could be easy to hold back and not actually attend or join a game or whatever it is that's going on.
Right, yes, definitely. That's a great, 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 great phrase in there,
Good,
because actually, I think in order for you to make it easy to learn a new language, is feel it. You
for
have
sure,
to, in order you have to feel it, which is that.
for
And
sure.
so, um, how do you make it easy to learn it? Did you get involved with classmates, or it was?
Yeah, we so that's a good question. I think for French, there was a, a lot of it was repetition actually, and a lot of it was repetition and competition. I think those are probably the two key things. Repetition in terms of just hearing the same thing over and over, and saying the same sentences, actually practicing them out loud as well. That's a major encouragement because inside your head you don't know whether you're doing it right or wrong, but that
Right.
whole kind of class competition as well around, am I doing it better than you and everything, because that kind of brings up the levels, right?
Levels, right.
Mm.
And so since the competition, so you never get in a relationship with someone to just help you out, or?
That's a good question. No, I personally haven't. Partly because so my mother is a linguist. Used in her at her height, she spoke 15 languages. Now she definitely doesn't. But for her, it's the common strands. Like Latin languages have a common root. Germanic languages have a common root. So I think there is something to be said for learning in that way and kind of just,
Mhm.
again, what's similar.
What's similar? Wow, that's a great hack in there.
Yeah.
What's similar to the language? And how do you got some words in English that is are similar to your language, which is?
That is a good question. Do we have that? No. Um, middle. So here's the version of that that's actually more interesting.
Mhm.
Chaucer was writing in the Middle Ages, in effect. And so, but of course, the UK is a country that was invaded a lot. And so we have a lot of the English that is spoken here is a hybrid of a lot of other things. So it has
Oh,
some Scandinavian traits, it has some Germanic traits, it has some French traits, it has some Latin traits, etc. And what was interesting was that mix. If you read Chaucer, so the Canterbury Tales, if you actually
mhm.
read that, what was really interesting, when we were 14 or 15, we were given this as a text that we needed to read for exams. And my
Oh,
teacher actually sat and started reading it in Middle English. And I understood all of it because I spoke French. I had pretty good Spanish because I don't speak Spanish anymore. Like, I'm lazy with it as well because I know I
mhm.
can, so I just get lazy. But my Spanish was pretty good because we used to go on holiday a lot. So my Spanish was okay, my French was okay, my Danish was obviously present, and my English was good. So he started reading from this book, and if you look it up, you'll see.
Mhm.
And because it has, at the time, Middle English was like a hybrid language of all of those things. He just
Okay.
sat there. And so, the book, if you can imagine the book kind of
Mhm.
having at the bottom of it, it had the translation kind of pieces. So
Oh,
all of my
okay.
classmates were looking up what the words meant when he was saying, when the apple, where the churras, wheat, the pass it to the root, blah, 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 blah. I'm just sat there listening to the story. When I started to realize that people around me were like going, what's he talking about? I don't understand. But because I had all of those four languages, it just made sense to me. Like he was speaking a language that made sense.
Makes sense. Wow, yeah.
That's
And
cool.
so, mhm. And so, how can you rate your languages? The all the languages that you learn, which one is, I would say, you almost mastered?
Uh-huh. English. I
English.
actually, English is my best language now. even though I'm Danish native. So I have a Danish passport, then Danish is supposedly my mother tongue. It is not as good as my English.
English. Oh, okay. Wow, yeah, that's amazing. And so, can you tell us a little bit about the first time when you hear English? At what age it was? How old are you? How old you were when you hear
Good
English?
question. So I would say it would have been in a movie, in a black and white movie, because I'm that old. I would probably have been about 4 or 5 that I can remember. And then, so we would always watch a movie on a Saturday afternoon, black and white, and it would be, you know, one of these fun kind of old time movies. And pretty much every Saturday until we got to the UK. So from the age of 4 or 5, right the way through to 11. And then I got thrown into the culture, obviously.
Oh yeah, yeah. Everything when leveling up, leveling up. Wow, that's amazing. And do you remember what do you hear? How do you feel it, or well, how was it?
I'm not sure I do. Let me think. I don't know. I think I just, I tell you what I do know is, and this is true for a lot of Danish people, so this would be interesting as well for you. I think I just heard it and I just got used to it because my mother liked to watch it and she spoke English, obviously. So I think I just got used to it. But in Denmark, everything, all the English movies, they didn't dub them. They had subtitles. So most Danish people, and this is the interesting bit, depending on what you watched, half of people in Denmark, maybe not half, maybe a third, speak English with an English accent, and about 2/3 speak English with an American accent because of the movies that they watch.
Wow, yeah, that's exciting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
the stats on that, don't quote me on the stats, but I know 2 sisters, Danish sisters. One of them went to England to help learn, to kind of explore. One of them went to America. One of them speaks American English. One of them speaks UK English.
UK English. Yeah, you're right. Actually, yeah. That's what I notice from people, that exactly that's what, when you, depending on what you watch, you get the accent. Yeah,
for sure, because it's influenced. And you know, even regional accents in the UK, you know, there are people I know who have arrived and they, you know, they went up to Scotland rather than, or Manchester, rather than coming down south to London or, you know, the coast or whatever, and they speak differently.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And so how, that's actually how we stand different. But what can you tell us about, let's see, some tricks that you learned in the process, or do you have any tricks on the languages, anything?
I think the biggest thing is, I'm back to repetition. I think I think the biggest trick is not to be embarrassed when you make a mistake. And the first words that you need to learn in any language are, I don't know how to say this, but what is this? What is this? What is this? You know, but to actually kind of be able to say that in the language that you're learning so that people can actually tell you, this is what this is.
Oh, basically what you're saying is ask questions, like kind of memorize questions, and then from there start your foundation and start building. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah.
Because if you ask a smart question, if you go up to someone and you say, you know, if you learn, I don't speak much Spanish, English, French, blah, 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 and then you say, what is this? Then you're in, aren't you? ¿Qué es esto? You know, it's like, that's easy, right?
Yes, completely. Yeah, I agree with you. Actually, yeah, that's one trick that also I learned after doing my mistakes at the beginning,
Yeah.
because I was this kind of person that you say I was shy. For
Mm,
me, doing a mistake in another language, it was telling myself that I completely felt I wasn't good at that. And
yes.
then I started realizing that if I make mistakes, it's okay. I At least I try do something. I try to expose myself and people correct me. And
Yes.
I mean, it's okay. It's completely okay for me to do that. Yeah, definitely those tips are amazing. And yeah, okay. So, and can you talk to us about a little bit about what you do and
Sure. So I am a coach and a mentor. I help business owners, speakers, authors, coaches, thought leaders to really pull together their brilliance, take it out and put it in a business that actually is commercially viable and that then allows them to have a business that they love.
wow, and can you give us a little tricks in there that for
Say that again.
oh, can you give us a little tricks or a little hacks that can we
Yeah,
can
I absolutely can. And I'm back to the same thing. Don't be afraid to ask. Like, don't be afraid to dream and don't be afraid to ask. And I think there is something about knowing what the end result is. So I want
Mhm.
to have a business that does this, or I want to have a business that turns over this much money, or whatever it is. Same thing. I want to be fluent in this language, within 6 months, for example. So having a
Mhm.
goal and having a vision is absolutely a key.
Key to success.
Yeah, for
Wow,
sure.
yeah,
For sure.
definitely. Yeah, can you give me some social media they can contact you and all this
For sure.
information?
So we run. So if you're a speaker, author, or coach, we run a what are they called? So we have a group for speakers, authors, and coaches called the Connection Hub. So facebook.com/groups/ the Connection Hub. You can find pretty much everything that you need in there. We do trainings every Tuesday. So for those of you who are wanting to build a business and in the same way
Uh,
that you build a language, you take the pieces and you put them together and you go, what shape does this make? And it's okay to
uh,
make mistakes. And that's basically what we encourage. So a lot of connection, back to the connection piece. That's what we
mhm.
do.
Oh, okay. And also, for the networking, can we come back to the? I just had this last question that I have on me. Um, so for if you want to make a new friends, and you don't know the language very well, how can you do that?
Good question.
Mhm.
Do you know what? It's body language every time. You do the waving, you do the smiling, and then
Yeah.
you try and say hello in your own language and you see whether they respond. And it's literally and I think the next thing that happens is usually me,
On the, mhm.
Helena, you,
Adriana.
and there it is, right? Sort of like so I think there's a lot to be said for the body supporting the language that comes.
Oh, okay. You mean connecting everything to make it possible to learn. Oh, yes,
Sure.
yeah, sure.
Because language isn't just the words that come out of your mouth. Language is a again, back to connection. Language is a connection that
Mhm.
actively joins two people in a desire to connect. And we
No,
happen to
yeah.
use words. Words really help. But if I have English words and you have Spanish words or French words or Greek words or whatever words, Vietnamese words, we still have a desire to communicate. So we do what we can with what we know, and usually that's a uh, eat or sleep or because actually the language of the body
Is
is universal.
it's, yeah, it's connected to our spirit. I mean, everything is. I feel that the language, it doesn't just talk about ourselves. It
No,
does talk about spirits, and now basically the spirits and the mindset talk each other. That would say that way.
that's a nice
That's,
way of putting it. That's really, really lovely. So in the interviews that you're doing, what is the key thing that you're learning about language or about how people learn languages?
the thing that I am doing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I actually, that's what I am doing. I put this program, and the program is about connecting inside, mastering the mindset that you say we had to. Sometimes what I find out at the beginning when I start learning English
Yeah,
is that I had to clean my mindset. My mindset was completely a mess. So I had to go back, clean myself first,
beautiful.
then I start feeling it. Then, as you say, set out goals, put everything out, and then I start asking questions.
Great.
That's how I came up with having this we having clear connections, and also in the process you can actually help other people, and that will benefit you
For
and
sure.
start master their language.
For sure.
I did a lot of that help back then when I was starting master my language. I helped
Amazing.
people that they didn't speak very, like they didn't speak as I did,
Yeah,
and so that will also help me to master my language and
that's just
helping
amazing.
people. And yeah, and also I am big believer of feeling
Mm-hmm.
it, believing it,
Yeah,
and having the knowledge. That's the three keys that are my core values that I always think that are important to each
beautiful.
person that wants to either learn a new language, have a um, business, or just have fun, be happy in life.
For sure. For sure. And,
Yeah.
and and I think that attitude is, and this is why I'm going to have to leave it because I've got a coaching session coming.
Yeah.
But my firm belief is that, you know, when we have a desire to connect, when we have a desire to share, we will do whatever it takes to share, whether what that message is, how that works, and to just have an attitude of, I want to do this, I long to do
Mhm.
this, and that actually brings there's a beautiful saying that I know, which is relevant, called the willingness to do brings about the ability to do. So the
Right. Yes. Mhm.
I am, the easier it becomes for me to do whatever it takes, even if it's unreasonable, right?
Yeah, completely. I am agree with you. Yeah, because I remember one time, actually, I will give you one example back
Yeah,
then
one
when I
tiny,
started.
tiny, tiny example because I have to go.
Yeah, I tell you. Okay, really faster. I when I started when the first time when I came here in the United States, at the beginning, the only thing I just wanted to do is to learn the language. That was my only goal. It wasn't anything. So I always, when I get up in the morning, I need to date someone. I need to find a classmate. I need to read this. I need to watch this video. I need to do these things, and all these creative things pop on my mind. So.
Amazing, but that's exactly how you then learn, and again, it comes down to, for me, certainly as I interpret it, connection. So
Wow.
I wish you
Yeah.
all the best with everything that you're doing. I have to disappear. I will send you this recording.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Take care, my darling.
Bye bye. Have a
Bye.
blessed day.
You too. Sorry, can't find the button. There we go.